Okay, Shalom. First and foremost, I would like to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Rakah Kwadash, and double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone. Shalom to the Ophla. Today, I basically want to, get into the book of Ecclesiastes, and hit on a few points. How, basically the vanity, the meaningless of the things of this world, how pointless the things of this world are, and how pointless living amongst this world is, as well as, and by living amongst this world, I mean, pertaining or living like those who are of the world, right? And, basically the opportunity that we have been given as servants of Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai, in this time, in the end times, right? It's the book of Ecclesiastes, chapter 1. The subtitle reads The Futility of All Endeavor. And that word futility, basically, futile. It's pointless, right? The words of the preacher, the son of David, king in Jerusalem, which is, we know to be who? King Solomon. Vanity of vanities, said the preacher. Vanity of vanities, all is vanity. And as we're going to read, King Solomon basically voices the opinion on how, as I said, the things of this world, in the end, is all, meaningless. What profit hath a man of all his labor which he taketh under the sun? One generation passeth away, and another generation cometh, but the earth abideth forever. The sun also ariseth, and the sun goeth down, and hasteth to his place where he arose. The wind goeth toward the south, and turneth about unto the north. It whirleth about continually, and the wind returneth again according to his circuits. All the rivers run into the sea, yet the sea is not full. Unto the place from whence the rivers come, thither they return again. So he's basically saying, this is just a process of how life works. All things are full of labor, man cannot utter it. The eye is not satisfied with seeing, right? So you don't just, you don't have a stopwatch or a time, period where your eyes can see. You don't just wake up one day, okay, I got 30 minutes of seeing today, let me get used to it. No, it doesn't work like that, right? And as he continues to say, the eye is not satisfied with seeing, nor the ear filled with hearing. That is, unless you have an issue, obviously. But continuing, the thing that hath been, it is that which shall be, and that which is done is that which shall be done, and there is no new thing under the sun, right? So all the things that we see now, it's the same as all the ideas, the thoughts, the things that go on this earth. It's all the same, right? It might be more modernized, but in the end, it's the same as the things past, right? And there is no new thing under the sun, which also goes into what? Reincarnation. The souls that live on the earth that are under the sun, right? They've been here before, just in a past life. And not all people, can perceive that. But as scriptures always put it, roughly paraphrasing, let they that have ears to hear, hear. Continuing, is there anything whereof it may be said, see, this is new? It hath been already of old time, which was before us. So basically things just get recycled. They might get upgraded, right? Or they might even get downgraded. But in the end, it's still just the same things reoccurring. Verse 11, there is no remembrance of former things, neither shall there be any remembrance of things that are to come with those that shall come after, right? So as we read up here, one generation passeth away, and another generation cometh. Generations after, don't remember what goes on before then, obviously, unless there's like a, history books and whatever. But the people themselves, don't know what actually went on. But so all he's basically trying to say is hit at the mundaneness of life, and as we read up here, the vanity and how it's all vanity, meaningless. And one of the reasons that he gives within this book of Ecclesiastes, really, that it's all meaningless, is that in the end we all have to die. That is one of the main frustrations that he voices within this book. It's the book of Ecclesiastes, chapter 2, verse 12. Really, I want to get this whole chapter, but we'll just start at verse 12 for the sake of time. It's the book of Ecclesiastes, chapter 2, verse 12. Subtitle reads, Wisdom excels folly. And I turned myself to behold wisdom and madness and folly. For what can the man do that cometh after the king, even that which hath been done already? Then I saw that wisdom excelleth. So basically he was saying, who better than me to do that, right? Then I saw that wisdom excelleth folly, as far as light excelleth darkness. The wise man's eyes are in his head, but the fool walketh in darkness. And I myself perceive also that one event happeneth to them all, right? And that event is what? In the end, we all have to die, right? Then said I in my heart, as it happeneth to the fool, so it happeneth even to me. Right? And this is, King Solomon, considered the wisest king to ever live, right? In which we know, or the wisest man to ever live, in which we know, Yahweh Shai excels him. But for those who can, receive it, he was Yahweh Shai in the past life. As we just read, there's no new thing under the sun. The same spirit that was in King Solomon is the spirit of Yahweh Shai, and also other men within the scriptures. But that's a whole another lesson for another day. Continuing, where did I leave off? Then said I in my heart, as it happeneth to the fool, so it happeneth even to me. Why was I then more wise? Then I said in my heart, that this also is vanity. Right? Because just as the fool, I'm gonna die just as the fool dies. Yeah, we might die in different ways. He might go out in a worse way than I have, or vice versa. Either way, we still both are dead. So what really did it profit me being wise and him being a fool? That's why he goes or he keeps the emphasizing, vanity, vexation of spirit, as you read throughout the scriptures, right? It being meaningless. But why was that? Well, because the death part, right? For there is no remembrance of the wise more than of the fool forever, seeing that which now is in the days to come shall all be forgotten. And how dieth the wise man as the fool? Right? So this is one of the main frustrations that he voices. Therefore I hated life, because the work that is wrought under the sun is grievous unto me, for all is vanity and vexation of spirit, the futility of labor. Yeah, I hated all my labor which I had taken under the sun, because I should leave it unto the man that shall be after me. Right? So not only did I labor, put in all this work just to die, the person who comes after me inherited it without having to have done anything. Because I should leave it unto the man that shall be after me, and who knoweth whether he shall be a wise man or a fool? So then on top of that, who's to tell if he's going to be a good person or a bad person, a wise one or a foolish one? Yet here it is, he just inherited everything that I worked hard for. Right? All the riches, the glory, etc. Yet shall he have rule over all my labor wherein I have labored, and wherein I have shewed myself wise under the sun. This is also vanity. Therefore I went about to cause my heart to despair of all the labor which I took under the sun. For there is a man whose labor is in wisdom, and in knowledge, and in equity, yet to a man that hath not labored therein shall he leave it for his portion. This also is vanity and great evil. For what hath man of all his labor and of the vexation of his heart, wherein he hath labored under the sun? For all his days are sorrows, and his travail grief. Yea, his heart taketh not rest in the night. This is also vanity. There is nothing better for a man than that he should eat and drink, and that he should make his soul enjoy good in his life. This also I saw, that it was from the hand of the Most High. Right? So he then says that, yeah, the riches, the things that men enjoy, you can work for that, or someone can inherit it, but in the end, right, it's really all from the hand of the Most High. For who can eat, or who else can hasten unto more than I? Again, emphasizing that point. For the Most High giveth to a man that is good in his sight wisdom and knowledge and joy, but to the sinner he giveth travail, to gather and to heap up, that he may give to him that is good before the Most High. This also is vanity and vexation of spirit. Now, when you continue on through this book, right, he basically, continues to what? Ponder life, right? He goes into, being wise versus foolish. He goes into corruption. He goes into how you should, seek a good connection with the Lord, and so on and so forth. Now, when you go to the end of it, this is the conclusion that he ultimately comes to, right? Let us hear the conclusion of the whole matter. Fear the Most High and keep his commandments, for this is the whole duty of man. For the Most High shall bring every work into judgment with every secret thing, whether it be good or whether it be evil, because as we read, it's all in the hands of the Lord. And this is the conclusion that he came to, partly because in the end, right, what did he say? The wise man is going to die as the fool. In the end, we all die, but the life you experience is in the hand of the Lord. How you live that life, what you do, the things you go through, is all in the hands of the Lord. So let us hear the conclusion of the whole matter. Fear the Most High and keep his commandments, for this is the whole duty of man. Right? And like I said, one of the main frustrations that he mentioned was ultimately we all had to die. And it's beautiful that the Lord, put the spirit on King Solomon to be the one, to voice this frustration as he did, because through him in the reincarnation as Yahweh Shai, he put it in to that curse, that thing that one of the things that plagued his mind was having to die, and he ultimately was the one who put an end to it as Yahweh Shai, right? He put an end to that curse for Israel, right? Because upon Israel it was a curse, Let's get the book of Psalms, chapter 82, and that was only for Israel. It's the book of Psalms, chapter 82. Might as well start at the top. The subtitle reads, Unjust Judgments Rebuked. A psalm of Asaph. The Most High standeth in the congregation of the mighty. He judgeth among the gods, right? Lowercase gods, because who it's speaking about is us. His people, his children, the righteous seed of Yahweh Ba'ashem Abishai, the sons of the Most High. How long will ye judge unjustly and accept the persons of the wicked? Selah. Defend the poor and fatherless. Do justice to the afflicted and needy. Deliver the poor and needy. Rid them out of the hand of the wicked. They know not, neither will they understand. They walk on in darkness. All the foundations of the earth are out of course. Salakia. I have said, ye are gods. Again, speaking about the sons of the Most High. And all of you are the children, and all of you are children of the Most High. But ye shall die like men and fall like one of the princes, right? Because that's a curse that was put upon us, because, going all the way back to Adam, for that ultimately disobedience, and through Yahweh Shai being that perfect sacrifice, it was lifted, man. But ye shall die like men and fall like one of the princes. Arise, O God, judge the earth, for thou shalt inherit all nations. Right? So now let's get the book of 1 Corinthians chapter 15 verse 50. The mystery of resurrection. It's 1 Corinthians chapter 15 verse 50, right? Because again, King Solomon, heavily voiced this frustration that in the end we all die, but through him, right, ironically, which really was just the will of the Lord, through him as Yahweh Shai, there was an end put to that. So now us, in this time, we have the chance to inherit the glory, inherit the wisdom, the riches, and all of the above, and have an eternity to enjoy it. So knowing that, how much harder do we have to serve the Lord? How much harder do we have to keep serving the Lord? Knowing that the things of this world is vain, right? Knowing that we have a chance to achieve something that the men before us haven't, in their lifetime at least. It's the book of 1 Corinthians chapter 15 verse 50. Now this I say, brethren, that flesh and blood cannot inherit the kingdom of the Most High, neither doth corruption inherit incorruption. And it's speaking about these corrupted bodies that we're in, the reasons why we die like men, because this body is sinful. It's sinful flesh, and in the wages of sin is what? It's death. So to inherit the kingdom, right, in which only Israel is going to inherit the kingdom as joint heirs with Yahweh Shai and no other nation, to inherit the kingdom, we have to be rid of this flesh. Verse 51, behold, I shew you a mystery. We shall not all sleep, meaning die, but we shall all be changed, right? Because you're going to have some who do die and some who don't, dealing with the elect of the nation of Israel. But in the end, they're all going to be changed. And actually, those who die are going to, receive the bodies first. They're the ones who don't die, that are left down here on the earth, who have to be beamed up into the, the so-called UFO or the chariot of the Savior. They're going to meet up with those who have, died. But as it reads, we shall all be changed. And what is that change? From the corruption, Slakia, to the incorruption, receiving new bodies that we will be able to live perfect in. We will be able to showcase that we are indeed actually gods, and no more and no longer die like men. Not the Most High God, but gods, on a lower level, as the angels, as Yahweh Shai, as, those who have power, judges, so on and so forth. Behold, I show you a mystery. We shall not all sleep, but we shall all be changed. In a moment, in the twinkling of an eye, at the last trump, for the trumpet shall sound, and the dead shall be raised incorruptible, and we shall be changed. For this corruptible must put on incorruption, and this mortal must put on immortality. Right? So for Israel, death will no longer be an option. So when this because we're going to, as we said, the wages of sin is death. We're going to live perfect. The laws in our inward parts, so on and so forth. We won't need to die. We won't need to be judged in that way anymore, because we're going to be perfect as Yahweh Shai was. So when this corruptible shall have put on incorruption, and this mortal shall have put on immortality, then shall be brought the path of saying that is written, death is swallowed up in victory. O death, where is thy sting? O grave, where is thy victory? Right? Where is thy victory for the nation of Israel? Because again, all these other nations, no matter what people say, no matter what other people believe, that doesn't change the truth of what's written. O death, where is thy sting? O grave, where is thy victory? The sting of death is sin, and the strength of sin is the law. Exactly. But we're going to be perfect. So therefore, there will no longer be a sting of death, because there will no longer be sin. But thanks be to the Most High, which giveth us the victory through our Lord Yahushua HaMashiach. Right? So it was all through Yahushua that, as we said before, that curse was lifted, man. Therefore, my beloved brethren, we're just waiting, on the fulfillment of this prophecy. Therefore, my beloved brethren, be ye steadfast, unmovable, always abounding in the work of the Lord. Why? Because, as we said, we're in the time to achieve this. We are in the end times, man. This is something that's going to come to pass in our lifetimes. We're not going to die and then have our portion, given to someone who didn't deserve it. As King Solomon frustrated. No, man. We are in the time to work towards glory. Therefore, my beloved brethren, be ye steadfast, unmovable, always abounding in the work of the Lord, for as much as ye know that your labor is not in vain in the Lord, man. And those are words that are stamped. If we continue to serve the Lord, it will pay out, right? That's let's get the book of Galatians chapter 6 verse 7, and it reads, be not deceived, the Most High is not mocked, for whatsoever a man soweth, that shall he also reap. For he that soweth to his flesh shall of the flesh reap corruption. So the Lord knows, right? There ain't no getting one over on Yahweh by Hashem Yahweh Shai. That's why scriptures speak about, you're going to have some saying, Lord, Lord, roughly paraphrasing, have we not prophesied in your name, so on and so forth. But the Lord knows, man. He knows who his true servants are. So the Lord is not mocked. You won't be able to, plead your case and try to get one over on Yahweh by Hashem Yahweh Shai. It's not going to work. For he that soweth to his flesh shall of the flesh reap corruption. Why? Because sowing to the flesh, living amongst this world, is all what? Vanity, man. It's vain. It's pointless, meaningless. Because it's all going to come to an end. Upon the return of Yahweh Shai spells the end of this world, this current age, this eon, I think. But yeah. For he that soweth to his flesh shall of the flesh reap corruption, but he that soweth to the Spirit, right? You put forth works in the service of Yahweh by Hashem Yahweh Shai. We try to please Yahweh by Hashem Yahweh Shai and walk according to the ways of Yahweh by Hashem Yahweh Shai. That's sowing to the Spirit. Being obedient to Yahweh by Hashem Yahweh Shai, walking in fear of Yahweh by Hashem Yahweh Shai. But he that soweth to the Spirit shall of the Spirit reap life everlasting. Right? And that's why the apostles, elders, bishops, so on and so forth of GMS, they speak about what? Building up a spiritual bank account, because we're sowing to the Spirit, man, not according to this flesh. We don't even, we have faith and not even dwelling in this flesh for much longer. So why would we sow according to this flesh? That's why, and that's another thing that scripture speak about. Let's get it in Matthew chapter 13, right? Those who basically sow according to the flesh, that, draws them away from sowing to the Spirit, draws them away from the truth, draws them away from Yahweh by Hashem Yahweh Shai. It's the book of Matthew chapter 13. Start here at verse 18, right? The sower explained. Hear ye therefore the parable of the sower. When anyone heareth the word of the kingdom and understandeth it not, then cometh the wicked one and catcheth away that which was sown in his heart. This is he which received seed by the wayside. But he that received the seed into stony places, the same is he that heareth the word, Slakia, and anon, which basically goes into, immediately with joy receive it, yet hath he not root in him. Let's look into this for clarification, make sure. It's the Greek euthus.
Strong's G 2117.
Euthus, right? Straight, level, straightforward, upright, true, sincere, straightway, immediately, forthwith. All right, yeah. and anon with joy receive it, yet hath he not root in himself, but dureth for a while. For when tribulation or persecution ariseth because of the word, by and by he is offended. He also that received seed among the thorns is he that heareth the word, and the care of this world, right, which is vanity, and the deceitfulness of riches choke the word, and he cometh unfruitful. And that's someone who's sowing, according to the flesh, man. But he that receives seed into the good ground, those who sow according to the Spirit. But he that receives seed into the good ground is he that heareth the word, and understandeth it, which also beareth fruit, and bringeth forth some in 100-fold, some 60, some 30. Now, going back, for he that soweth to his flesh shall of the flesh reap corruption. Why? Because they're going to basically turn away from the Lord and turn after the world, which is going to do nothing but bring you death, bring you judgment, But he that soweth to the Spirit shall of the Spirit reap life everlasting. And that was only possible through who? Yahushua. Verse 9 is the point I wanted to hit. And let us not be weary in well doing, for in due season we shall reap, if we faint not. Right? So there's a stipulation there, right? If we faint not, he that endureth unto the end, the same shall be saved. But if we faint not, all our works are worth it, man. It's all worth it. These are the words that are stamped by Yahweh, by Hashem Yahushai. The Lord is not a man that he shall lie. Do we finish this off? Yeah, but thanks be to the Most High, which giveth us the victory through our Lord Yahushua Mashiach. Therefore, my beloved brethren, be ye steadfast, unmovable, always abounding in the work of the Lord. For as much as ye know that your labor is not in vain in the Lord, right? So that labor has to be in the Lord. Goes back to Yahushua being that foundation. If you don't have Yahushua as your foundation, then you're laboring for nothing. It's for no reason. And having Yahushua as that foundation means you come in the spirit of Yahweh by Hashem Yahushua, the spirit of truth and sincerity. Having to have the true gospel of Yahweh by Hashem Yahushua, man, and walking accordingly, man. Let's get the book of Matthew, chapter 11, verse 11. We can start here at verse 7, and it reads Yahushua's tribute to John, right? Speaking about John the Baptist. And as they departed, Yahushua began to say unto the multitudes concerning John, what went ye out into the wilderness to see? A reed shaken with the wind? But what went ye out for to see? A man clothed in soft raiment? Behold, they that wear soft clothing are in kings' houses. But what went ye out for to see? A prophet? Yeah, I say unto you, and more than a prophet. For this is he of whom it is written, behold, I send my messenger before thy face, which shall prepare thy way before thee. Verily I say unto you, among them that are born of women, there hath not risen a greater than John the Baptist. Notwithstanding, he that is least in the kingdom of heaven is greater than he. Right? And going along with the point, we're in the time to work toward achieving something that the great men who came before us had yet to accomplish. The least in the kingdom of heaven will be greater than John the Baptist. That's words from Yahushua himself. So again, how much harder Do we work towards that, man? Now it's the time to push and to keep on pushing until the Lord returns. So with that being said, once more, I would like to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Racha HaKodash, and double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone. Lord willing, this video was edifying, uplifting, and or informative in some way, shape, or form. And shalom to the hopeful elect.